Schizophrenia. Living with schizophrenia can feel like your mind is running two different channels at the same time, and neither one has a pause button. Someone might hear voices that aren't there, see things no one else can, or believe they're part of a story no one else is following. To outsiders, it looks like chaos, but for the person inside it, it feels real. Every sound, every vision, every thought. The condition usually shows up in late teens or early adult years, right when people are supposed to be building their lives. Instead, it feels like reality itself starts to break apart. Someone on the street might feel convinced that strangers are plotting against them. Even the people closest to them can start to feel like strangers, which makes family dinners feel less like bonding and more like an undercover sting operation. It's one of the most disabling mental disorders in the world, and their brain basically just keeps rewriting the rules. Schizophrenia isn't about split personalities, like movies love to say. It's about losing your grip on what's real and what isn't. Bipolar disorder. Some people with bipolar disorder hit phases where they feel supercharged. In mania, sleep feels optional, ideas pour in nonstop, and money starts flying out of their pockets. One week, they might start 5 projects at once, stay up all night cleaning the kitchen, and buy stuff they don't even need. The energy feels incredible, but the impulse control, not so much. Then the switch flips. The same person who felt unstoppable can crash into depression. Now even brushing their teeth feels like a workout, and laundry piles up like it's growing legs. It's not that they're lazy, it's just that the energy is simply gone. These moods don't come and go in a single afternoon either. They can stretch on for weeks, and when they finally pass, there's always the risk they'll circle back again. What makes bipolar disorder so hard is that it's unpredictable. You can plan your week, but your brain might flip the script overnight. Some people lose jobs or relationships because of it. Others learn to manage the ups and downs, holding on tight and hoping the next curve doesn't throw them off track. Post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. PTSD is something that might happen to you after going through something so terrifying or painful that your brain can't fully let it go. Soldiers who come back from war, people who survive accidents, or anyone who's lived through violence can carry it. The event ends, but the fear doesn't. Memories can replay like broken film reels. A loud bang might throw someone right back into a battlefield. The smell of smoke might remind them of a house fire. Even a harmless situation like fireworks on the 4th of July can feel like danger all over again. For someone with PTSD, daily life turns into a minefield of triggers. Nightmares, panic attacks, and flashbacks are common. Sleeping basically gets cooked, and your trust feels harder, and some people even avoid places or people that remind them of the trauma. It's not just about bad memories, it's about the brain treating the past as if it's still happening in the present. PTSD doesn't mean someone is weak. It means they've been through something the brain wasn't built to handle. And while humor is tricky here, let's be honest, no one wants to live in a head that treats a car backfiring like the opening scene of an action movie. Obsessive-compulsive disorder, OCD. OCD happens when the brain gets caught in a loop it can't break. A thought pops up, something like, my hands are dirty, and so the person washes them. Most people would move on, but with OCD, the thought doesn't leave. It comes back like an annoying song stuck on repeat, so they wash again. And again. Before long, the sink has seen more action than a car wash. It's not always about germs. Some people feel the need to check if the door is locked 10 times before bed. Others line up their clothes by color, and if one shirt is out of place, the stress feels unbearable. To outsiders, it can look like quirks or being super neat, but for the person living it, it's not a choice. It's a daily battle between their brain and their peace of mind. The cycle goes like this. An obsessive thought pops up. What if I left the stove on? Then you have the compulsion, the action that is meant to calm the fear, checking the stove again. It works for a second, but the worry quickly returns. The brain demands the cycle to repeat. And while some people joke about being so OCD because they like clean desks, real OCD isn't about neatness. It's about a brain that doesn't know when enough is enough, even if you've already washed your hands raw. Depression. Depression isn't just being sad after a rough day. It's kind of like a weight that doesn't go away, even when everything looks normal from the outside. Someone can wake up already tired, like they ran a race in their sleep. Simple things such as brushing teeth, answering a text, or making breakfast can feel like dragging yourself up a hill with a backpack full of rocks. It can show up in different ways. Some people feel empty, others get angry fast, and some lose interest in things they used to love. A favorite hobby can start to feel boring. Food can taste like cardboard. Even hanging out with friends feels exhausting, so people start pulling away. The hard part is that depression doesn't always show. Someone can laugh with friends during the day and then go home to a room that feels like a cave. On the outside, they look fine, but inside, it's a different story. Kleptomania. Kleptomania is when someone feels an intense urge to steal things they don't even need. Most of the time, they could buy the item without a problem. Instead, the brain locks onto something random, like a candle, a spoon, or a pack of gum, and the tension builds until they take it. The moment they do, the pressure melts away, kind of like finally scratching a mosquito bite. Except now you own 12 lighters you never use. Kleptomania is different from shoplifting for profit. Most people with it can afford the things they take, and often don't even want them. The stealing isn't planned, it's impulsive. That makes it hard to control and embarrassing to admit. Getting rid of this habit usually involves mental health care with medication for impulse control. It's not about teaching someone right from wrong, it's more about that they already know stealing is wrong. It's about rewiring the brain so the urge doesn't take over. Kleptomania is rare, but it's very disruptive. Imagine walking out of a store with something in your pocket and realizing you don't even remember taking it. That's the reality for people with this disorder. Everyday errands can turn into unwanted crime sprees. Dissociative identity disorder, DID. Dissociative identity disorder, once called multiple personality disorder, is when a person's mind splits into different identities, or alters. Each one can have its own voice, age, or even handwriting. To outsiders, it looks confusing. To the person living it, switching between identities can feel like losing time or waking up in the middle of a story they don't remember starting. DID almost always starts with trauma, often in childhood. The brain, trying to protect itself, creates separate parts to hold the pain. One identity might deal with school, another might carry anger, and another might step in when things feel unsafe. Over time, these identities become stronger and more distinct. Life with DID can be unpredictable. Someone might go shopping, and when they switch back, they're holding bags of things they don't remember buying. Friends or family might notice sudden changes in voice, mannerisms, or interests. It's not like the dramatic movie versions. No one switches into a spy or a villain, but the shifts are real and disruptive. DID is rare, but it's one of the most misunderstood disorders. While Hollywood turns it into a horror twist, the real horror is living with memories so painful that your mind had to break itself into pieces just to survive. Doctors recommend getting help from a specialist with the goal of helping the different identities communicate and, over time, work together. It's slow, often years of progress, but it can give people more control over their lives. Narcissistic personality disorder. Narcissistic personality disorder is when someone's world starts and ends with themselves. They crave attention, praise, and control, and if they don't get it, they can become angry or dismissive. On the outside, it can look like confidence. On the inside, it's a fragile ego that needs constant fuel. People with NPD often treat conversations like mirrors. They only care about what reflects back on them. A simple story about your day somehow gets turned into their victory speech. They can also believe they are more important or special than everyone else and expect to be treated that way. If you don't, prepare for the cold shoulder. Relationships can be tricky. At first, they might come across as charming or exciting, but over time, the lack of empathy shows. A friend might pour their heart out about a breakup, and the narcissist responds with, "That reminds me of my breakup. Let me tell you all about it." It's less about sharing and more about stealing the spotlight. Antisocial personality disorder. Antisocial personality disorder is when someone struggles to care about rules, laws, or the feelings of others. People with this disorder can lie, cheat, or hurt others without much guilt. It doesn't mean they avoid people. In fact, many are very charming. The problem is that the charm is often a mask, hiding manipulation. It often shows up early. A kid might steal, pick fights, or break rules at school. As they grow up, the behavior can get more serious, like scams, violence, or crime. Not everyone with this disorder becomes a criminal, but the risk is much higher. For some, it's less about breaking laws and more about using people like tools, with no thought for the damage left behind. The traits include being impulsive, reckless, and quick to blame others. Imagine a friend who crashes your car, shrugs, and says it's your fault for giving them the keys. That kind of thinking is common with this disorder. Treatment is tough. Most mostly because many don't see a problem in the first place. It's hard to sit someone down for therapy when their first line is, "I'm only here because the judge told me to." What makes it one of the hardest disorders is the mix of charm and danger. Someone with it can talk their way into trust and then break it without blinking. It's the reason you'll often hear the word psychopath in crime shows. Borderline personality disorder. Borderline personality disorder basically makes your emotions feel like they're on max volume all the time. Moods can flip fast, like you being calm in the morning and then soon after angry at lunch and crying by dinner. To the person living it, even small things feel huge. A friend not texting back can spark panic, and a simple "we need to talk" can feel like the world is ending. Relationships are usually the hardest part. A person with BPD can care a lot about someone, but the fear of being left never really goes away. That fear can show up as anger or as trying too hard to keep the person close. To others, it might look messy, but inside it feels fragile, like every friendship could snap with one wrong move. Kind of like carrying a birthday cake through a crowded hallway and hoping no one bumps into you. So basically, identity is another struggle. One week, someone might love their job, and the next week, they're ready to quit and move across the country. Hobbies, style, and even the way they see themselves can change a lot. Impulses can also get loud, spending too much money, driving too fast, or diving headfirst into relationships that burn out quickly. Getting professional help is the main treatment, especially programs that teach coping skills. With time and support, people can learn to steady the ups and downs. The hardest part is the intensity. Life with BPD isn't about wanting drama. Paranoia. Paranoia is when the brain stays on high alert and turns on survival mode even when there's no real danger. Normal moments start to feel threatening. A neighbor looking out the window can seem like spying. Strangers laughing nearby might feel like they're laughing at you. Even quiet moments can feel suspicious, like the world is planning something behind your back. It's more than being careful. People with paranoia can believe they're being followed, watched, or targeted in secret plots. Locks get checked over and over. Phones feel bugged, and cameras on laptops might get taped up. Not for privacy, but because they're convinced someone is actually watching. Paranoia can appear on its own, but it also shows up in disorders like schizophrenia or dementia. Stress or drug use can make it worse. Talking with a counselor and medication are the go-to with this, but here's the problem. It's hard to convince someone to see a doctor if they already believe the doctor is part of the plan against them. Living with paranoia is exhausting. It's like walking through life with the constant feeling that everyone knows something you don't. And while people make jokes about tinfoil hats, the truth is, the fear is very real, and no amount of aluminum wrap makes it easier.